It's 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes before we get started. But if you're here, I'm excited because we're going to do a whole new set of questions. I shouldn't be that excited about a whole new set of questions, but somehow I find myself being excited. Go figure. Go figure. Well, 1 minute. 1 minute until we start. Yeah, I'm pretty geeky. This is true. This is very true, and I'm not upset about it. So the countdown begins. Mm, 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 mm. So, as I wait for this next minute to pass, we are starting with a new set of questions, which I had Claude draft up just the other day. I asked for them to be harder questions because you all were doing so well with the old set. I felt like you were getting them all right, which is awesome. I'm so glad you were getting them right. But sometimes the goal is to challenge ourselves. The goal of questions is to figure out what you don't know. So I haven't seen these questions either. Let's see what AI gives to us. So let's start with number one. A buyer purchases a property described by a survey that reveals the neighbor's driveway encroaches 4 feet onto the purchased property. The title insurance policy contains a standard survey exception. Can the buyer make a claim under their title policy for the encroachment? Wow. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, let's look at that again. Hello, Miss Caroline. Hello. I know that you just got here, and I was saying I asked for harder questions. I asked for harder questions because I felt like we were getting them all right. And okay, Claude did not disappoint. So let's read it one more time. A buyer purchases a property described by a survey that reveals the neighbor's driveway encroaches 4 feet onto the purchased property. The title insurance policy contains a standard survey exception. Can the buyer make a claim under their title policy for the encroachment? Is it, well, hello, Haley. If Caroline says hello, then welcome. You're part of the family now. So we got A. Yes, the title insurance always covers survey revealed encroachments. B, no, if the policy contains a standard survey exception, encroachments shown on the survey are typically excluded from coverage. C, yes, but only if the encroachment existed before the policy was issued. Or D, no, because encroachments are never covered by the title insurance. Wow. It's been a while. Oh, well, then welcome back. Welcome back. And who's got an answer? Like for real, this is a real question. I got to stop and think about it. So the question here is, do we know? It says it's got a standard survey exception. That's the key to this. Do we know what a standard survey exception is? And if you do, then you know the answer. Hmm? Does anybody know? I don't have anybody in my Zoom room. Hey, Marilyn. I don't have anybody in the Zoom room today. So, yeah, I have the right room. So it's just us on YouTube. Y'all give me an answer. I know there's a bit of a delay, but give me that answer. Well, I'm going to help us out. I'm going to eliminate the yeses because nope, that's not right. Right? There is a survey and there is an encroachment from that driveway 4 feet into the purchased property. The question is, will the title insurance cover it? And the answer is no. No worries. Don't worry. Look, this is for you all, whatever you all need. So it's not yes. And I'll tell you right now, the answer is B, no, if the policy contains a standard survey exception. The encroachments found on this found blah, 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 blah. I can get all these words out. Encroachments found on the survey that could be found in the survey typically wouldn't be covered. Okay, what is my thingy doing? Act right, man. Act right. There we go. It's hard to see on the phone the question. Oh, let's see. Can make it a little bit bigger for you? That's about all I got. So the key here if you didn't know, is about this standard survey exception. Remember, there are basically two overall levels of title insurance. I know you know there's two policies. Usually there is a lender's policy if there's a loan, and then there's the owner's policy. But the level of coverage you can either get the standard policy or you can get like an extended policy. Hello, Venus. And if you get the standard policy, some things aren't covered. So if this person bought the house, didn't even notice or know that there was a survey, I mean, if they had gotten the survey, one would assume they would have cleared the problem, right? One would have assumed they would clear the problem. Since they didn't, and if they didn't get a survey, title insurance is going to help. You could have bought an extended policy, and that extended policy would have covered also when, let's say there was some type of identity theft, that would have been covered. This encroachment would have been covered even if you didn't get a survey. And also remember, one of the big things about title insurance is it only covers the purchase price. That's it. So there you go. All right, let's move on to our next one. So far with number one, Claude did not disappoint with the harder question. I mean, it's not playing games, I guess. All right, number two. A real estate commission audit reveals that a broker's trust account is $3,200 short. Ooh. The broker insists it's a bookkeeping error. Which statement is most accurate? A real estate commission or board, whatever you all have, audit reveals that a broker's trust account is $3,200 short. The broker insists it's a bookkeeping error. Which statement is most accurate? All right. Is it A, the broker has a reasonable defense if the error is documented and corrected immediately? B, the shortage constitutes a violation regardless of the cause, and the broker must immediately deposit personal funds to cover the shortfall and report the discrepancy. C, the broker has 30 days to reconcile the account before any violation occurs. Or D, the trust account shortages are only violations if they result from intentional misappropriation. What say you? Anybody got an answer? Venus, you asked, when's my birthday? It is in April. It's coming up. Very excited about my birthday. I love it. What do we have? Anybody? We have a D. We have an answer of D. Do we like D? Do we like D? Well, let's start with, we know it's not C. You had an audit and there's a $3,200 shortage. The whole point of a trust or an escrow account is that it's somebody else's money. It's somebody else's money, and that's a problem. So no, you don't have 30 days to reconcile, right? And this is not a reasonable defense. Oh, but we made an error. Not with somebody else's money, you didn't. Not with somebody else's money, you did not. So we know it's not A, we know it's not C. Let's see. B says the shortage constitutes a violation regardless of the cause, and the broker must immediately deposit personal funds to cover the shortfall and report the discrepancy. Or trust account shortages are only violations if they result from intentional misappropriation. D sounds nice, but no. It doesn't matter if it's intentional misappropriation. It is somebody else's money, which means, yeah, this is a violation and they need to correct it immediately. Correct it immediately. Now, it did say that the commission audit revealed, so I'm not sure who you're reporting the discrepancy to. Maybe the client. I don't know. If they don't know, they can contest. Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you're the broker and you're in charge of a trust account, it's your job to know. It's your job to know. You said it's the personal funds part that got me. You know what, Kelly? I would agree. I mean, if there's monies missing, I think the idea here is that you've got to make that account whole. That's now their money. So I would say for this one, and again, I used Claude. I I would go with that one. I would say most definitely it's the best answer choice because of this intentional misappropriation. Only if it's intentional, nope, that makes it real wrong. So that's where, don't worry, I looked at that too. I was like, huh, I don't know. But that's the answer I go with because I know it's not A, C, or D. All right, number 3. A property is described as Lot 7, Block 3 of the Oak Hill subdivision as recorded in Plat Book 42, page 17 of the county records. This is an example of which type of legal description? Ooh. This is a type of which type of legal description? You got A, meets and bounds. You got B, rectangular government survey. You got C, lot and block. And you got D, informal reference. Who's got a idea here? I'll help you out. It's not B. The government rectangular survey system, that's when you have a principal meridian and a baseline and your townships and your sections. Your 640 acres. All right, Caroline, in my chat, you said it is, you said, well, you're gonna say something, but All right, Venus, I think that's an answer from before. Okay, Daisy. Hello, Daisy. You said C. Daisy said C. Maribel said C. Haley says C. All right, and our answer is yes, it is C. Blot and block or a recorded plat. Remember, meets and bounds is when you give that directions. Go, 400 feet northeast until you reach that boundary, and then you're going to go 500 feet southwest. I mean, whichever. So our answer is C, the lot and block. Oh, informal reference is a fancy way of saying basically a mailing address. It's informal, and that's not going to be good enough for a transfer of land. All right? Good job, guys. What do you think? I feel like these are a little bit harder. I feel like these are a little bit harder, like I asked it to do. So, let's see. Number 4. A property owner has a well on their property that provides water to both their property and the neighboring property through a shared well agreement. Okay. The property owner decides to cap the well and connect to municipal water, which would cut off the neighbor's water supply. The neighbor most likely has a claim based on what? Woo! Okay, making us think. I like it. It is a challenge, right, Caroline? I'm like, oh, this is different. All right, so there's a well on their property that provides water to both their property and the neighboring property. And there is a shared well agreement. Then that owner decided to cap the well. All right. So the neighbor most likely has a claim based on A, adverse possession of the water rights, B, the shared well agreement, which creates contractual and potentially easement rights that the property owner cannot unilaterally terminate, C, riparian rights extending to groundwater, or D, the neighbor's right of eminent domain over the well. Okay, well, 2 of these we can eliminate right now. We know it's not eminent domain. Eminent domain is the government's power to claim land. So, bloop. Hello, Dr. Felicia, and you are very welcome. I love doing this. So we know it's not D, and for that same reason, we know it's not A, adverse possession. That's when you try to take claim of ownership of somebody's land. So now we're between B and C. We are between B and C, but I do like how they tried to trick us with those 2 words. Is it because of the shared well agreement creates a contractual and potentially easement rights? Okay. Or is it riparian rights extending to the groundwater? Well, we know riparian rights specifically are about flowing bodies of water, like rivers or streams. And that is not what we're talking about. Not to mention, there's a shared well agreement, making our answer B. There we go. Once you sign an agreement, one person usually can't just unilaterally decide to terminate it unless you put some type of clause in that agreement. So our answer is B. All right, let's try 5. A broker receives an earnest money check from a buyer. Sorry, I was thirsty. The purchase agreement falls through due to a failed home inspection contingency. Both the buyer and the seller are claiming their earnest money. The broker should what? So a broker receives an earnest money check from a buyer. The purchase agreement falls through due to a failed home inspection contingency. Both the buyer and the seller claim the earnest money. The broker should A, release the funds to the buyer since the inspection contingency was not met. B, release the funds to the seller since the buyer failed to close. C, hold the funds in the trust account and follow dispute resolution process outlined in the contract or applicable law. Or D, split the funds equally between the parties to resolve the dispute. Well, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not D. You know what this reminds me of? Is it King Solomon? Is that old Bible story about the king and the woman? 2 women are fighting over the baby, and he's like, just split it in half. And you're like, that'll kill the baby. Right? I think that's King Solomon. Much to my mother's chagrin, I don't know my Bible stories like that. But I think, is that King Solomon? I don't know. But it's not that. We're not just splitting the monies. All right, so 5, Caroline, you says it's A, release the funds to the buyer since the inspection contingency was not met. Venus, you said it is C. All right, so we got 1 for C, we got 1 for A. Venus, Daisy, you said A. And our answer is, it is C. Woo, woo. Look, I know the contract says, hey, there's a contingency. This buyer should get back the money. But in most states, when somebody disputes whether or not the other person is supposed to get the money back, you're going to have rules, whether it's created by the contract or created by your laws or your commission rules. There's going to be rules that whoever is holding that earnest money, the escrow agent, can't just decide, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. You might have to get a court involved. You might have to, talk to an attorney, whatever, or it might be an attorney holding it. But you don't just give the monies away. Once there's a dispute, you try to figure it out. Venus, you said C? Hey, yep, you did say C, Venus. Yep. Yeah, I saw you. Look at you getting them right. I see you. I see you. Uh-oh, I see. And Caroline, you all can't see it, but Caroline did say the answer is C, and you know what that means. Wait, did my carrot song disappear again? I swear to God, somebody's coming in and stealing my carrots. Oh, wait, no, here it is.
I like carrots, and you should too. It goes crunch, 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 and it's good for you.
We like carrots.
And you should too. It goes
crunch, crunch, crunch. I was correct. It was Solomon. Oh, good. Something paid off. So all those Sunday schools came in. And good, Daisy. I want it to make sense. And if you have any questions, just stop me and ask. That's why we call it a workshop. All right, number 6. An agent is conducting an open house, and a visitor mentions they are currently represented by another agent, but just looking. The visitor asks detailed questions about the seller's motivation and lowest acceptable price. How should the listing agent respond? Ooh, I did ask it to give us some more situational questions, so far so good. I like this. An agent is conducting an open house, and a visitor mentions they are currently represented by another agent, but just looking. The visitor asks detailed questions about the seller's motivation and lowest acceptable price. How should the listing agent respond? All right, I'm not even going to read the answer choices first. I'm going to break down this question. And for those people who are just tuning in, this is my first time reading these questions too. These are AI questions. And if somebody wants the the prompt I use to write these, just email me. I'll give it to you. You can make your own questions. So what I see is that there's an agent who's having an open house, and then we got this visitor. And I know this agent is a listing agent. So I know this listing agent owes old car to the seller. That agent owes old car to the seller, which means they should not be sharing the seller's motivation, new word, motivation and lowest acceptable price. So how should the listing agent respond? Off the top of my head, I would say they should say, hey, I work for the seller and that's information I can't, share with you, something like that, but they definitely can't share it. So let's see which of those answers. 6, treat them like a customer. Yeah, pretty much because they are a customer. Excuse me. Treat them as a customer. Yeah, because that's what they are, Caroline. I like that. Let's see. Answer all questions fully since the visitor is at an open house and has impliedly consented to receiving information. I don't know if impliedly is a word, but I'm assuming since AI used it, it's a word impliedly. Alexa, is impliedly a word?
Yes, impliedly is a word. It's an adverb meaning something is suggested without being directly stated. Would you like me to explain some related adverbs?
No, thank you. Well, according to AI, that is a word. Who knew? So has impliedly consented to receiving information. No, you should not be answering those questions fully because to do so would to be breaking the fiduciary duties between the listing agent and the broker. And the seller. All right, B. Decline to share the seller's confidential information. I like it. And suggest the visitor work through their own agent. Oh, I like that one so far. 6. Answer the questions only if the visitor signs a buyer agency agreement on the spot.
Sounds like you're working through some real estate scenarios.
Alexa, stop. Boy, gets nosy. They just get nosy. Answer the questions only if the visitor signs a buyer agency agreement on the spot. Absolutely not. You can't force somebody to, no. Look, I'm telling you, they're real nosy. I love AI, but I'm thinking about changing Alexa's name to something that's different so that they'll know when I'm talking to them. Alexa, stop. All right. Or D, provide information to be helpful, as the listing agent's duty is to market the property aggressively. I don't know if our duty is to market the property aggressively. I'm pretty sure most states your duty is to find something that's similar to a ready, willing, and able buyer. And not every seller is going to want this whole aggressive listing. Sometimes people want to sell their houses on the down low. So I got to say it's not D, making our answer once again, bees in the trap, bees in the trap, bees in the trap, bees in the trap. All right. Now, so far we've had a lot of B's, and if you all remember, the last time I did questions, Claude gave us a lot of B answers. So, you have 5 in your house, so they all have to be named differently. You got to tell me one of those names that you use because, I've got Uncle Ray for my Chat GPT. I need another name. All right. Number 7. Oh, what I was going to say is if these are all B's, then I'll go in and for Sunday, I'll ask them to change up the answers again. All right. Number 7. A real estate contract contains a liquidated damages clause stating the seller may retain the $15,000 earnest money deposit as the sole remedy if the buyer defaults. The buyer defaults after the property has appreciated $45,000. The seller wishes to sue for the $45,000 and lost profit instead. Can the seller pursue this? Wow. This is a good one. Oh, I like those names. Yeah, it can be hard finding the right answer, and that's why I ask for hard ones. It's very hard, but I like it too, right, Caroline? This is making us think. All right. So you have and I'm sick of yellow. Liquidated damages clause. We know liquidated damages are when you decide in the contract what are the consequences of breach, right? And they may return the $15,000 earnest money deposit. This is the part that's getting me. As the sole remedy if the buyer defaults. You have a contract that says, seller, this is your sole remedy if the buyer defaults. Now that the buyer has defaulted, the property's appreciated $45,000 and the seller wants to sue for the $45,000 in lost profit instead. I mean, I don't know if that was actually going to be profit if you had a contract price, but okay. So if it's the sole remedy, I'm going to say no. No, he can't sue. So let's get rid of yes, right? I got rid of A, I got rid of C. So now my choices are either generally no. If the liquidated damages clause is enforceable, it typically limits the seller's remedy to the stipulated amount, 15,000, or no, but the seller can pursue both the 15 and the 45,000. Well, I don't like D. Oh, one's name is Ziggy. All right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the answer is B as well. B is where we're going. This is the only answer that makes sense. And guys, what I like about these, even though we've never seen them before, is I could eliminate all the other answers. I don't have to love B, but I really know A, C, and D aren't working. So whether I like the answer or not, I'm going with B, which is our right answer. Nice job. All right. We're going to see if this thing gives us more answers than just B. So even if the answer is B for the first couple this round, I mean, we got 200 questions here. I'll go in and update it so they're not all B. 8. An agent is preparing a CMA and identifies a comparable sale that was a foreclosure auction. Okay. The property sold for $180,000, while similar non-distressed properties sold for approximately $240,000. How should this agent treat this comparable or comparable? It depends on how you want to say it. Now, we've got something that was a foreclosure, and we've got other non-distressed properties. When we're talking about distressed property, it's like the property is in distress, is being foreclosed upon. We know when you choose CMA comps, they should be something that are an arm's length transaction. It's a fair and open market where, you don't have anything too weird going on. So, is it A, included at face value since it is a real estate market transaction? B, exclude it or give it minimal weight because distressed sales do not typically represent fair market value. It's not bad. C, adjust it upward by exactly 60,000 to match non-distressed sales. Absolutely not. I'm go ahead and eliminate C. Or D, use only foreclosure sales as the comparable since it represents the lowest market value. Well, for 8, our answer is going to be, there we go. Shocking nobody. Our answer is B once again. Now, I am sorry that Claude is giving us all B answers, but in this case, it's right. I mean, that's the only answer we can go with. Included at face value since it is a market real estate transaction? Absolutely not. It was sold at foreclosure, which means at the end of the day, The bank was just trying to get as much money as they could. And then after that, once the money that was owed from the borrower is covered by the foreclosure, what does the bank care? They just because the house could have been worth 240, but if the 180 covered what they needed, or if the 180 was the most anybody offered for it, they're going to take it. It's not a good comp. Remember, when you're doing a CMA, you're kind of basing it similar to what an appraiser does, which is, hey, if you were to put this back on the market, what do you think it would sell for just randomly? Right? So our answer is B. You're not going to use only the foreclosure sales as the comparable because it represents the lowest market value. The problem with this is the whole idea of a foreclosure sale is not fair market value. This is the term you need to use. Like, think about that. Fair market value is the idea, hey, if we put this house on the market, no other weird things happening, what would be? You have this question one on Prep Agent, and the answer there was A, but the answer here makes the most sense. Hey, if you find this question or if you have a screenshot of it, send it to me because I can't see why this would be the answer included at face value since it's a real. Everything I've ever studied about appraisals and CMA say the answer should not be A. So if you send that to me, I will definitely check that out. I'm sorry. All right, number 9. A real estate developer obtains a blanket mortgage. Hopefully, you know what a blanket mortgage is, right? A real estate developer obtains a blanket mortgage to finance the purchase of a 20-lot subdivision. The mortgage includes a partial release clause. As the developer sells individual lots, the partial release clause allows the developer to, right? A real estate developer obtains a blanket mortgage to finance the purchase of 20-lot subdivision. The mortgage includes a partial release clause. As the developer sells individual lots, the partial release clause allows the developer to. Well, I mean, the name of the clause is partial release. So is it A, release each lot from the blanket mortgage upon payment of a specified amount per lot? B, transfer the entire mortgage to each individual buyer? C, avoid making any mortgage payments until all lots have been sold? Or D, release all remaining lots once 50% have been sold? What say you? A, B, C, or D? All right, Daisy says A. Daisy says A. We got a Daisy. It's saying A. Anybody else got a guess? Caroline says A. Whoop, whoop. I love it. Haley says A. And you know what? Candace says A. Candace thinks the right answer is release each lot from the blanket mortgage, right? That's the whole point of the partial release clause. Even though there were 20 lots in the original mortgage, no developer is usually going to just build all 20 lots all at one time. They're going to build a couple and then sell them. Build some more and then sell them. That's what that partial releases clause is there, so that you don't set off the alienation, otherwise known as the due on sale clause. That due on sale or alienation clause says, hey, if you alienate yourself from the ownership, from title, you need to pay us everything back now. Well, that doesn't work if there's 20 lots, right? That don't work. So, does this make sense? Just if it's not making sense, if I'm moving too fast, let me know. Because the goal for me right now is not to get through as many questions as possible. It's to break down why the answers are what they are. Oh, good. I'm glad that makes sense. Thank you, Miss Caroline. All right. Number 10. A buyer signs a purchase contract that includes financing wait, before we do 10, I want to go back to our other questions. These were the questions we were doing before. And I feel like these are harder. Let's try one page of these other questions and you tell me which ones you prefer. We'll do one page of these original 200 questions, compare them, and then if you all are like, nah, we like the harder ones better, then we'll go back to the harder ones. If you're like, no, the easy ones make me feel better and I need a boost, then I can kind of mix them up or ask Claude to mix them up. All right, so question 182. Under federal law, which environmental hazard requires mandatory disclosure in residential sales? Under federal law, which environmental hazard requires mandatory disclosure in residential sales? Is it A, mold, B, radon, C, lead-based paint, or D, asbestos? Have you or a loved one suffered from mesothelioma? Because we know that's where mesothelioma comes from. Asbestos. All right, Miss Caroline, you're giving me a D. A D to do. I was going to say a D's in the trap. D's in the trap. But that's not the song it's supposed to be. Right. Under federal law, which environmental hazard requires, federal law requires mandatory disclosure in residential sales? All right. Miss Daisy, you're giving me a C. Anybody else? I got a D, I got a C. I know there's some other people watching. Don't be afraid to get it wrong. If you've been watching me long enough, you know I get these questions wrong sometimes too. It ain't nothing but a thing. Ain't nothing but a J thing, baby. This is why I'm not a rapper. All right, Maribel said C. Anybody else? Well, you know what? The answer is
I like carrots, and you should too. It goes crunch, 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 and it's good for you. We like carrots, and you should too. It goes crunch, crunch, crunch.
remember our federal law about lead-based paint, or the law about lead-based paint, is federal. It don't matter which state says. Federal law says, oh, if the house was built before what year? What's the magic year? If a house was built before what year, do you have to give a lead-based paint addendum? Now, there are the exemptions. I know there's exemptions, but what's the magic year for lead-based paint? You knew it, they're like, it's okay. I refuse to go any further until somebody tells me the magic year for lead-based paint. I refuse. I refuse. I know somebody in this work. All right, Caroline has given me the right answer. Can anybody in the YouTube room tell me what is the magic year? Daisy is correct, 1978. Oh, let's do it this way, 1978. Woohoo, that is the magic year. Nice job, Maribel. Nice job, Daisy. Yes. If a house was built, or any type of residence, whether it is for sale or for rent, was built before 1978, you're more than likely 90% of the time going to have to give a lead-based paint addendum. Again, we have some exemptions, but for the most part, yeah, you'll be giving it. Nice job. All right. Let's see. You know, I'm gonna refresh my internet. Hopefully it doesn't stop anything, just because on my side, my thing stopped. All right. Number 183. The four unities required for joint tenancy are. The four unities required for joint tenancy are, is it A, title, time, title, interest, and survivorship? Is it B, time, title, location, and possession? Is it C, time, title, interest, and inheritance? Or D, time, title, interest, and possession? Whew. What say you? All right, let's see. For 183, Haley says it's D. And Venus, you said it's C. Anybody else? Caroline, you said D. Anybody else? Daisy, you said D. And this time it is D for Daisy. Yes, our answer is correct. Time, title, interest, possession. Now, I like to teach this as pit. Some people will teach it as tip. Hopefully you figured out that they just kind of switched that around. I guess you could do P-T-I-P-T. Is that even a word? Petit? Petit. I'm such a child. All right. Title, time, interest, and possession. And remember, you might see this word, but survivorship is why we're doing joint tenancy. Somebody is looking for the right of survivorship. I think I've decided I'm now going to call it petip. Just the petip. Wait, that is not a PG-13 statement, is it? It's not a PG-13 statement. Venus, I saw you saw 1983. That just came through at 7:39. So I don't know if you did that earlier and we have a delay, but if we do, okay, there you go, 1978. Okay, so I think there may be a delay for you there, Venus. I think. All right. Number 184. I know I said the patip. Just the patip, y'all. Get you into trouble every single time. This is why I do this on my own. So no school can be like, really, Candace? Really, you said that? A competitive market analysis, or CMA, differs from an appraisal in that A, a CMA is a formal opinion of value. B, a CMA is required for all mortgage loans. C, a CMA is typically prepared by a licensed appraiser. Or D, a CMA is an informal estimate prepared by a real estate professional. What do you say? I think, Venus, you're giving me the answer of D. So, Venus, I can't tell. Venus, when you hear this, I want you to give me an answer of like 184 and then what your answer is. Because if there is a delay on your part, I want to know which one you're answering so I can help you. All right. Daisy, you said D. All right, you said D. I think, Venus, you're saying D. I think you're saying D, so I'm going to give you that as well. Okay, D. Okay, you got it. Caroline, you said D. I think that for, again, yeah, 184, that would be D. And yes, this is our answer. It is D. That's a pretty easy one. All right. Yep, you said D. Perfect. Oh, Marily, I see you. The answer is D. Good job. 185. The process of converting personal property to real property is called what? The process of converting personal property to real property is called A, severance, B, attachment, C, conversion, or D, accession. Accession. I said that right. Severance, attachment, conversion, accession. Ooh. What say you? That was for the other one. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. We'll work through it. We will work through it. Delay or not. Because at the end of the day, even if there is a delay, you answered it, but you hadn't heard what I said the answer is. So you can see, were you right or were you wrong? So, we work through what we can. Or Venus, if it continues to be a delay, if you want to join us in the Zoom room, so there's no delay, you're more than welcome to do that. All right, for 185, we have an A, right? So Caroline said A, Maribel, you said B. Marily, too, you can join us in the Zoom room as well. Just email me. I got an A, I got a B. Well, it's not conversion. Conversion is where you're talking about converting usually trust funds in the wrong manner. It's not that. It's not a session, right? And severance is to sever. Severance is to sever. You know, I was talking about this the other day to one of my classes. So let's imagine you have a tree, right? When you have that tree, it is part of the real property. Right? If you cut it down, now you've got a log and it is now personal property. And then if you magically turn it into a fence, I've never tried to draw a fence before, but let's pretend that's what I just did here. When you attach it, you literally, it's going to become a fixture through attachment. Right? So when you severed it is here, and then you attached it there. That is, that's what we got going on. So when you convert personal property to real property, we're talking about this half of the property, right? That's going to be attachment. Now Caroline said something. Caroline, you said change to A because it's Maria. Right? So, well, first, understand our answer is attachment. Maria is about the total circumstances test. This is about how a judge decides if something is a fixture. So really important, we do need to know it, but wrong question. Wrong question. This is saying it's converting personal property to real property. So you're taking that log and making it into a fence. You're attaching it, right? But they're trying to get you. I know they ask you about this a lot, but just because we recognize the word, and I'm guilty of it too, y'all. I'm guilty of it too. So there you go. 186. A lis pendens provides what? A lis pendens provides, is it A, proof of ownership, B, evidence of clear title, C, notice of pending litigation affecting the property, or D, release of mortgage lien? What say you? Do 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 do. All right, we got a C from Caroline. We got C. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. All right. What else we got? Anybody else? Well, it's not proof of ownership. Well, if we're talking about real property, then that would be the deed. Evidence of clear title? Yeah, no. That you get title insurance, or you could get a attorney's opinion of title, but that wouldn't be, I mean, that's kind of evidence of clear title. All right. We have another C from Haley. And we know it's not a release of a mortgage lien. Our answer, most definitely, indubitably, yes, I can say that word, is C. Notice of pending litigation. You're basically filing something at the Register of Deeds so that you can say, hey, if somebody's interested in buying this property, you should know it's involved in a lawsuit. Yeah, just letting you know. Lis pendens, notice of pending. Oh, hey, Trix. Man, Trix, it's okay. You're late. You're here. And that's all that we want. We want you to be here. Now, Venus, the answer is not D because Fortunately, it just list pendants could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to go with a mortgage lien. And a release of mortgage lien would mean you paid off the promissory note, and now the bank is releasing the lien they would have on the property, assuming it's a lien theory state. Right? So hopefully that helps. That's okay. I can't spell either, Caroline. All right. Oh, you said 184 is D. Ooh, yes, 184 was D there. Yes, Venus, it was. Good job. Ooh, yeah. You know what, Venus? Email me because I can see you are definitely behind there. So I want you to be able to join at the same time and be online. Email me, Miss Venus. You know my email. It's Candace Ellis at Gmail. And I will get you that link so you can be in the Zoom room. It's absolutely free. I just want you to be able to be on the same, number as us. All right, number 187. If a property's NOI is 50,000 and it sells for 625,000, the capitalization rate is, ooh, guys, we did this last week. We talked about cap rates. And remember, I said it's helpful if you get confused with the multiplying and dividing which number goes to where to use the T-bar for that. NOI is equal to cap rate over here and value over there. Now, if you've never used the T-bar, you know if you get an up and down number, you divide, and if you get side by side, you multiply. And in this case, the NOI is 50,000. I'm going to stick that here. It sells for 625,000. That's going to be my value. Right? Now, this is no different than saying, if I could have written it, NOI divided by cap rate equals value. And then if I know that the NOI is 50,000 and the value is 625, either way, for whatever reason, what our next step is between the two of them is take 50,000 and divide it by 625,000. And that gives us an answer of Candace needs to find a calculator. 50K divided by 625,000 gives me 0.08, which is going to be 8%, which is our answer C. Bum, bum, bum. All right, that's okay. When is my next live math section? Actually, I haven't done an all math one in a while. Let me try to find what another time, Daisy. I know not everybody has math, but let me schedule an extra day. Maybe in fact, Daisy, what's a good day for you to do an extra math live session? You tell me, email me. I'll try to work around your schedule because you asked for it. And Haley, you're not terrible at these. You just need to memorize for these problems, this right here. You just got to memorize this, especially for cap rate problems. Makes it so much easier. And our answer was C. C. 180. Oh, we've done a number now. Now you all tell me. I feel like this set of questions is the easier set, or it's less words. And it's more vocabby. Versus our new set of questions, which I call the advanced set. I mean, look how much longer these are. You do really have to apply. This advanced one is more application. Is that how you spell application? Sure. Which one do you all like? Caroline, you came up with 12.5. You don't know what you did wrong. Did you put it? Let me go back here. Did you put the 50,000 in first? So you're doing 50,000 then the divided sign, and then 625,000. I think what you did is you put this number in first and that one in second. And that would say how many times does 50,000 go into 625, which would be 12 something. So I think that's what you did. You're going to put it in order. Remember TGIF. That, okay, there's only 3 lines in F. And that means top goes in first. So you put the top number in, and then you put the bottom number in. Or if you're looking at this to solve it as an equation, you would say, let me use red. We're trying to get this by itself, which means we need to get rid of this 50, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to, well, this one's a little hard to explain, but the best way to do this is to compare this. If you're somebody who struggles with math, you know if 3 times 2 equals 6, then 6 divided by 2 equals 3. And 6 divided by 3 equals 2. And if you can do this, then you're going to do the same thing. If we know the value is going to go in. You understand what I'm trying to say. That's why I like to teach it this way. Or really, you can say value times cap rate equals NOI. Right? It's sometimes easier if you put it in this formula where you're dealing with the multiplication number there. It's just easier. Nah. Okay, Maribel, I see you. You got 0.08. Well, the problem here is when you get 0.08, it's a decimal number. And we need to turn that into a percentage, which means you're moving that decimal over 2 places to the right. So 0.08 becomes 8%. So close. So I converted to 8%. There you go. Yep, you did the opposite. All right. Okay, it sounds to me like I need to do some more math. So yes, I converted it to 8% tricks. If you didn't get that or need more, you had the 0.08 becomes 8%. The same way that 0.25 is equal to 25%. Does that make sense? All right. And it sounds like we need to do some more math. We can work on some math. Why don't we do that on Sunday? All right, back to what I was saying. We have these easier questions, and then we have some of these harder, longer questions. Stop. Which do you all prefer? And I know you like math too, but I just need people to put it in the chat for me. Do you like the longer questions or the shorter questions? Do you like a mix of the hard and the short ones? I mean, the math, I know we can get more math. Or multiply 400. Yep. All right. What am I thinking? You like them both? Okay. Caroline likes them both. Just as you all, those people on YouTube, as you get to it. Daisy says you like the longer questions. Yeah. I like the longer questions too. I do. I do. You need a challenge. I know you do need a challenge. Daisy said you like the mix. I mean, I can go back and forth. These are almost done. We're on question 188. So I'll have to get some more. Tricks, you like mixed, little T. Hello, little T. You like a mix too? All right. I can try to do that. I will see. Maybe I can get, okay, we'll work on it. Let me work on that. Let's do question 188. It is 7:58, but I got, let's do a couple more. Let's do these 3 and a couple of the hard ones. Which of the following would not be prorated at closing? Which of the following would not be prorated at closing? So that means 3 would be prorated. That's not what we're looking for. One is not. And we know prorated means split between the buyer and the seller. Property taxes, real estate commission, prepaid rent, or homeowner association dues. Oh, this is not a fair question. Well, I don't like it. I don't like it because you could prorate the commission at closing, but my guess is they're thinking old school. Yeah. The test is tricky. Mix them, please. All right. You need to get, all right. I know that they're looking for an answer here of real estate commission because prepaid rents would be split. Property taxes would be split. Homeowners association dues would be split. But guys, let me remind you, the Realtor Association went through a lawsuit. And now the commission can be paid any way the buyer and sellers agree to do it. I mean, so I don't love this question, but that's not AI's fault. I mean, it's AI. So I'm just going to skip that one. 189. A purchase money mortgage is one where what? A purchase money mortgage is one where, is it A, multiple properties secure the loan, B, the seller provides financing to the buyer, C, the property is purchased with all cash, or D, government insurance is required? Now, let us help us out. We know it's not D. Government insurance would be an FHA loan. Remember, in an FHA loan, the money comes from the bank. The insurance comes from FHA. It's not D. All right. Daisy says B. Caroline says B. Anybody else? And our answer, I'll give it a second just because I know my people in the YouTube, there's a little bit of a delay. All right, we'll go with it. It is, in fact, B. A purchase money mortgage is seller financing. PMM, purchase money mortgage, seller financing. Boom. Oh, and I see those answers came in. Trix, Maribel, Haley, all said B. Look at y'all. See, when we do the easy ones, y'all get them all right. Y'all get them all right. And I know that's fun and all. I mean, it's a great boost. But I want to make sure I'm challenging you. All right, let's do 190. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in A, only commercial property transactions, B, only properties with 5 or more units, C, only rental transactions, or D, all residential property transactions. What say you for 190? Now remember, it is Housing Act. What would that be? The Fair Housing Act. Does fair housing apply to commercial? Does fair housing apply to units, 5 or more units? Does fair housing apply only to rental? Or is it all property transactions? So I got D's. I got D. I got these notes. All right, we got Haley with the D. We got Marily with the D. We got Caroline with the D. Under the sea. Trick says D. I know I'm going to get in trouble from YouTube, but let's do it.
Under the sea. Under the sea.
We'll just do that little bit because they like to ding me every time I do that. But it's such a good song. I need to find somebody who does like a good version of it and switch it out. And yes, you all are correct. It is D. All right, let's do one more hard one for the road. One more hard one for the road. Number 10. A buyer signs a purchase contract that includes a financing contingency requiring the buyer to apply for a mortgage within 5 business days. All right, I'm going to highlight that. The buyer does not apply for the mortgage at all. Shady. On day 20, the buyer attempts to cancel the contract using the financing contingency because they cannot obtain financing. Well, I guess it's a little hard to obtain it if you never applied for it. What is the most likely outcome? I feel like is it A, the buyer can cancel because the financing contingency protects them. B, the buyer may be found in breach because they failed to make a good faith effort to obtain financing as required by the contingency. Is it C, the seller must return the earnest money because financing was not obtained? Or is it D, the contract automatically terminates after 5 days if no application is made? Okay, 189, Marilli says B. Sorry, that's not even 189, but I think this is supposed to be 10. I think that's what you're saying there, ma'am. I think you're saying that. And Caroline, I think you saying it's B. All right. Antipati is. You're going with the longest answer. Okay. Well, you know what that tells me, Caroline? We need to go over this. Hey, Crystal, you're saying the answer is D. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. So let's start from the back. Start from the bottom. The contract automatically terminates after 5 days if no application is made. That is not the right answer because it's just a contingency. Right? It doesn't automatically mean that anything is being terminated. This automatically would be more attached to the wording time of the essence. If they said, hey, something in the contract is time being of the essence, then more than likely it would be easier or more automatically terminated. And I can't say it's always going to automatically terminate, but it's got a date. Hey, if the contract said, if this doesn't happen, time being of the essence, it's terminated. The contract is over. But yeah, a contingency is just the ability for somebody to walk out. It doesn't automatically terminate. The seller must return the earnest money because the financing was not obtained. Seems reasonable, but I like what B has to say. They failed to make a good faith effort. They didn't even bother to apply, and that doesn't make sense to me. That you can't say, oh, I wanted the house. I told you I wanted the house, and then I just didn't bother to apply. Absolutely not. Right. So, yeah, the seller has to return because it wasn't obtained. I think you're going to have this good faith effort part, which is going to, no, you didn't even bother to apply. It'd be different if you applied and you couldn't get it. You didn't apply. You never even tried. So, no, I don't think that money should go back. And then the buyer can cancel because the financing contingency protects them. I think just like with C, absolutely not. You didn't even try. You didn't try. So no, we're not giving you back your money. All right. Got to go. See you next time, Haley. And you know what? That is going to be where we end on number 11. We'll pick it back up. I know we had a lot of B's, but I'm going to have Claude redo this so we don't have all B's all the time. We had a couple A's and C's in there. And we got a couple more of these easy ones left. We got, 10 more? So finish those. I'll write some more of those. And by write, I mean, I'll ask Claude to do it. And we got some of these advanced questions, which are harder, but I think you learn more from that. Also, do I need to start this at 8? Sometimes I get you all going. I guess at 8 would be 5 o'clock California time, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just go longer on these days. We did have a lot of bee. Bees in the trap. Bees in the trap. Bees in the trap. Or, I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. Or maybe I just need to go longer on Wednesdays. You've had a lot of B. I prefer to have a lot of D, but that's a whole different conversation. And on that note, I'm getting past the TPG-13 statement, so we got to go. I will see if I can work it in to go longer on Wednesdays, if that's helpful for people. I know you're working. But if you have questions, email me. If you've got a delay, you can join me in the Zoom room. It is free. We started at 7. 7 p.m. We start at 7. So we know that Wednesdays are 7 p.m. Eastern and Sundays are 5 p.m. Eastern. So there we go. All right, guys, I got to go. I will see you next time. If you need me, email me. And thanks. I love that you all are sticking in and you're going to get this. You're going to get this. Bye, Dr. Felicia. Bye.
Bye, Candace.
Bye,
See you
Miss
next time.
Caroline. See you next MC Sunday.
Okay. All right.